Ooh, Gabey, baby.
What's up, everyone? My name is Gabey Baby, and I make background beats for TV shows. Today, I just wanted to quickly show you and talk about TuneSat, which is a website that I've been using for the past 2 years to detect and track a bunch of placements across network TV, and I wanted to show you how you can get started with it. So let's just dive right in. So here's what TuneSat looks like. Very clean homepage. Nice little phrase here, protect your music, collect your money. It definitely has helped me with that. And it has a nice homepage telling you a little bit about it, some testimonials. And you can see that you can get started for free searching up to 50 tracks, which I think is great, especially if you're just starting out in sync, you just made a relationship with a music library, and you have a pretty small catalog, but you want to start getting some information on whether or not it's being used. Perfect that you can sign up for free just with 50 tracks. So once you do create an account, this is what you're going to see on the homepage when you log in. There's basically two different pages. There's the detections page and your tracks. Obviously, you're not going to see anything on the detections when you first sign up, so you're going to want to go into tracks and you're going to want to start uploading some. What you'll do is you'll drag and drop your files right into this little region right here, and then it will prompt you and allow you to fill in the metadata of the track. If you don't do that right when you upload, you can come back in later, edit the metadata, where you can add the song title, album name, artist name, right? Anything you want to add, even the composers, PRO, and the custom field is where you can add, whatever you want. But this is great if you want to keep your metadata organized, especially if you have different composers or different publishers that you work with and collaborate with. That feature can really help you stay organized. So me, on my tier, I can have up to 100 tracks, and I'll get into that a little bit later with these batches. But once you upload your tracks into TuneSat and they're in the system, then hopefully you're going to start seeing some detections. So right now it's May 5th, 2026, or May 7th, excuse me. And you can see that this past week I had different detections on Bravo on the show The Valley and on TLC on the show The Seven Little Johnsons. What you'll see on the detections page, right, is the channel, the show, the episode, and one thing I really love, this first feature that I really want to highlight, is that you can actually play a clip of that small piece of the episode where your music was played.
I wanted to apologize again for speaking on stuff that I wasn't involved in.
This friendship is dead, it's done. Like, I had a funeral for you in my brain.
If there's anything you...
Now, the reason I really love that feature, also the feature where it gives you a timestamp of that placement, is because I post my clips of placements on Instagram and all over social media. So you can see I have a bunch of clips here. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Southern Hospitality, The Valley Persian Style, Maxed Out, My Strange Addiction. And before downloading TuneSat, what I would do is I would see placements on my BMI statement. I would open up Hulu, I would get my lunch, and I would just sit through and watch the episode until my music played. And sometimes my music didn't play until the very last second or minute of the episode. I remember on the show Sister Wives, I had a placement, and my placement was the very last piece of music during the end credits of that show. So as you can imagine, trying to sit through and grab clips for all these different episodes, that time can add up pretty fast, and sometimes I don't necessarily have the time to sit through and watch a whole episode just to find a small 15-second clip of a placement. So that is the first feature that I absolutely love about TuneSat, is that, like I said, and like I showed you right here, you have a clip and a timestamp. And the clip can also help you, like you can kind of get some context clues for what you're hearing in the clip. Like, for example, on America's Culinary Cup.
Is a fresh made capellini finished with basil emulsion, Parmesan mousse on the outside, some toasted pine nuts, some piquito crab, and a little bit of basil buds.
So you can tell that that guy who's talking, he's speaking about this dish that he created. So you can tell that he's sort of presenting his dish. Now, this timestamp also takes into account the commercials that happen throughout TV. So this says 7:45 p.m. The placement isn't going to happen at 7:45 or at 45 minutes exactly into the show when you watch it on a streaming platform. But you'll think, okay, well, commercials are maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. So maybe it's just like you have to kind of do a little bit of mental math. And when I'm sort of scrolling through the show and trying to find it, for this one in particular, I was looking at the part of the episode, you can see that little preview that pops up on the bottom, and I was like, okay, where is somebody presenting a dish to the judges? So this has helped me save a ton of time when extracting these clips for social media. So I absolutely love this feature. Now, another thing that TuneSat has helped me with is collecting money, like I said at the beginning. One thing that happened to me is I got on my BMI statement, I saw that, or no, I'm sorry, on TuneSat, I saw that I had about 5 placements on the first episode of a show called Botched Presents Plastic Surgery Rewind, which was a show that aired on E! And I got all the detections on TuneSat, so I went through and I found all the clips, and I was very excited for my BMI statement that following quarter to see how much I was paid for those placements. But when my BMI statement came, 2 of those placements were not actually on the statement. So I was able to refer back to TuneSat, to the clips that I collected using TuneSat. I sent those clips and the MP3 of my song to my publisher, and I said, hey, listen, I got my BMI statement. Here's a screenshot of my statement. I'm not seeing these not seeing these placements on there. What can we do about this? So they reached out to the network, who replied and basically said, yes, we're sorry about this. We did include these tracks on the cue sheet, but for some reason they did not make it into the BMI system or in whatever. And I was able to get paid the following quarter, double the royalties for the previous quarter and the current quarter for that placement. So TuneSat actually helped me recoup some money that was missing and get a placement that I had into BMI, which was awesome, which I love so much. Now, one thing that I don't love so much about TuneSat is actually refers back to the timestamp. So you can see here some of these placements. This happened exactly 4 p.m. and this happened 12:29 a.m. Or I'm sorry, what's another one? 9:04 a.m., right? Basically, right at the start of a new sort of scheduling time block, right? So one thing that actually happened to me back in August is I got a detection on TuneSat for the show Sex and the City, which is a show that has not been around since 2004. I was 9 years old when they stopped making Sex and the City. And so I looked at this and I said, like, what the heck? What is that supposed to mean? Sex and the City? There's no way I have a placement on that show. But then I saw here the timestamp 9:30 with 19 seconds p.m. So what happened was the previous show actually ran slightly over time and over schedule into the time block that Sex and the City was scheduled for. So what I had to do, I basically went online, I looked up the E schedule for that week, and I had to look through and find the show and episode that was before Sex and the City at that time. And then I was able to find that placement right at the end of that episode. It's not such necessarily a deal breaker or game changer, but it is a little bit annoying when you get detections and your music isn't used on that show. It's happening to me a lot these past 2 weeks because I had this placement on the 7 Little Johnstons right at the end of the end credits, so I keep seeing a bunch of different random shows and episodes that my music is not used on, so I have to kind of refer back, but now I know the episode that it's on. So last thing I wanted to show you is just sort of the plan details that you can kind of take advantage of. My plan, I have 100 tracks and I pay $35 a month. You can customize your plan to include the US and European Union. You can also select specific countries if you know that you have a track that's being played on like sort of a commercial or some sort of show in Germany or, you know, the Netherlands, for example. You can just choose specific countries. But you can see that once you start adding more tracks, it can start to get pretty expensive. You know, the 5,000 track tier, that's probably more for a music library or a real established business. But if you're a composer that has like 500 tracks, I have 2,000 tracks, you know, on my spreadsheet. And I don't really have $250 a month to use to track 500 tracks. So the second feature that I don't really like so much about TuneSat is that it can get quite expensive, unfortunately. But one thing that I did when I first signed up for TuneSat, I used the 50 track tier. I had a free account and I was detecting placements on there. But once I started getting BMI statements that showed more tracks, I started adding a little bit more to it. And the first tier that I paid for was this 100 tracks. But originally I was paying $70 a month for 100 tracks. And at one point, you know, it was like 2 or 3 months into it, I was like, you know, this is good. It's saving me a lot of time getting these placement clips, but it's not really worth $70 a month for this. So on their website, there's not really an option to downgrade. There's only an option to upgrade. So I emailed TuneSat and I said, hey, look, I want to go back to the free tier. I only want to have around 50 tracks on there. What can we do? I don't really want to delete my account with my email that I'm using. So they replied and they said, hey, look, we understand. Thank you for reaching out. We'll give you 50% off, so you only will pay $35 a month. And I said, you know what? Great. That's fair. I'll accept that. So I kept the same tier, but they offered me a 50% discount just for reaching out and saying, hey, look, I want to delete my account and start a new one. Is there anything we can do? I also wanted to share, and I forgot to mention this when I was first filming this video, that is why I created these batches of tracks. I was at the PMC conference, which is a conference that happens every year at the Hilton here in Studio City. And I got a tip from someone that if you batch together tracks and upload them into TuneSat, you can actually save yourself a ton of space. You can see at the top here, it accepts up to 200 megabytes per file. And 200 megabytes is a lot, especially if you're talking about MP3s. You can have upwards of like 2 or 3 hours in an audio file for 200 megabytes of space. So I tried to do that. I did that last week. I created a couple of batches, but so far it's not really working out for me. I'm not seeing any detections. These tracks that I have, detections from this week, you can see I created this April 29th. These tracks, A Kingdom Has Risen and Got Fat Stacks, I included them in some of these batches, but they are not showing up. So I'm not sure if that's the case of, you know, you can't have duplicate tracks. It'll select a track, perhaps the shorter track, to use as a detected track. Or TuneSat has maybe started catching on that some people are doing this and batching tracks together, and there's some sort of way that they are understanding that and not allowing that. So I'm not really sure what it is, but I try to do it. If that ever changes, I'll report back, or give it a try for yourself, see if it works out. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add that I didn't record the first time I made this video. I mean, that's pretty much it. TuneSat is a great tool. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're just getting started and you just built a relationship with a music library. It's very easy to get started. If you have only less than 50 tracks, you can pay for it. You don't even have to pay for it. It's totally free. So I definitely recommend using it. Definitely recommend checking it out. That's going to be it for today. Make sure you like this video. Drop a comment down below if there's any features or anything about TuneSat that you love or don't love as much. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for more updates, tips, and insider information about music production like this. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.